Hello, I'm Brian Cerny. Thanks for joining us. We have in the studio today Louis Wheltman. He is the Chief Operating Officer for Phoenix Realty Partners, a financial services company that specializes in assisting commercial real estate firms who find themselves with more debt than the collateral value of its assets. Now, Lou, you've been doing this for some time. You've had an amazing career. How did this all get started for you?
Well, actually, Brian, my career is not all real estate. My career is more of helping companies grow. I'm a corporate growth specialist. Restructuring companies is just the other side of zero, if you will. So while I would take companies from zero and I would help them grow, whether it be corporate development activities, mergers and acquisitions, whether it would be raising capital for them, these all require a set of skills that are helpful and useful and necessary in restructuring companies, the rebirth of companies, if you will.
How did you decide to target this as a solution for guys like Doug Turner?
Well, it was born out of a personal experience, quite candidly. I had been helping companies grow and doing it both inside and outside companies, and perhaps I was a little bit, I miscommunicated in terms of what I shared with you earlier about my career. I've not just been on the outside looking in, I've been on the inside making it happen for myself as a principal. So I understand, personally what it means to put equity at risk, to risk my own capital, and to win sometimes and sometimes lose.
Oh, I get it. So you're one of those small business owners that we keep hearing about, the backbone of our economy.
I did build it, and not just metaphorically. I actually built real estate projects. So I have the personal experience of being able to watch something grow out of the ground. But Phoenix came out of a personal experience. I was involved in a real estate project that I bought at a very, very high price, and I had a lender that breached their obligation to me. We're not going to get into long philosophical conversations about the breach of the contract, not just the individual contract that I had with a lender, but the larger issues that are going on in the world today, and what's going on in the world as far as what the government is doing to literally kick people like Doug Turner to the street when they're down and they have no ability to defend themselves, siding with those lenders. Let's put all of that aside for the moment. What we're here to talk about is, if I understand your question correctly, is how was Phoenix born?
Right.
Phoenix was born because out of my own personal experience, where I had to slay the dragon of that bank. I had to beat that bank at a game that most people don't even know how to play, and I had to learn through my own experience with them how to deal with this, and that's how I recognized that there were opportunities to do this for others.
Okay, let's talk about the process. Now, I realize that every situation is unique. Every situation is different. So there is no cookie cutter here, but there are certain guidelines, certain principles, if you want to say a strategy that you employ. How did you arrive at that?
Well, everything that we do is information driven. We have an axiom that we follow. It really is. It's one of the directions on our compass, if you will. It's not our true north, so to speak, but it helps inform us. We can't do anything if we don't have the information, and out of the information will come the solution.
I see.
And sometimes the information that we get says to us that this is the type of transaction that allows us to go forward in a particular way. The information that we get typically falls in four categories. We want to understand where we stand in the legal process. We want to kind of get a sense of where are we from a time and distance standpoint, and when do we have to bring that solution. We have to look not just at the legal, but we have to look at the lender. What is the lender's circumstances? What's their motivation? Is it a loan that they originated? Is it a loan that they got? Are they involved with the FDIC in an 80-20 loss share arrangement? What are their liquidity issues? What are the reserves that they have? What are the policies that they have in terms of dealing with this? How much real estate owned do they have? Because that's going to give us a sense of whether or not they're willing to take back that next asset. And all of these things have to be overlaid by an understanding of what the project is, because ultimately we're talking about a distribution of what is really a repriced asset. We're saying that while somebody might have loaned $5 million on something worth $6 million 5 years ago, today, for whatever the reason being, it's worth $3 million, and we have to distribute that value in a particular way. I think it's inequitable that the bank gets all of that value and then seeks $2 million more from the guy because the loan's underwater. I don't think that that's right. So we try to use the data and the information that we're given, and with an understanding of who the owners are and what their own personal needs are, because every owner is different, and sometimes the owner is composed of multiple owners. It could be a tenant in common ownership, it could be an LLC with multiple members, it could be joint. So the nature of the way that it's owned, all of those things inform us, and when you put them all together, it's out of that information that we frame a solution. And then we go about our business in a particular way of communicating with the various constituents and stakeholders to try to bring a consensus to a solution. And if not, there are other mechanics that we go through in order to get to the goal that we're trying to achieve.
So, even though my individual situation may be very complex, the basic process is really pretty simple. You've got to find what value may still exist. You've got to bring people together. You've got to negotiate terms. Is that pretty much how it rolls?
And understanding the leverage points. There's a lot of psychology that enters into this discussion, and understanding where people's threshold of pain is. Our overarching commitment is to create value and to share that value with the folks who have retained us to help provide a solution to them. So when you have all of these other things going on, at the end of the day, we're guided. Our true north, our moral compass, comes from understanding the needs of those folks who have put their life into this, their blood, sweat, and tears, understanding what we need to do to help them. And we so align ourselves with their interests, not, maybe there's a small fee for us to just go through some of the information so that we understand what to do. We give them a deliverable when we assess that information. If they then want to retain us, everything that we do is aligned with their interests, because if we create value, we get, so do they. If we don't create value, there's no further cost to them because we've then taken over all of the cost.
Lou, a pleasure having you in the studio. Thanks for sharing your story with us. And folks, thank you for being with us.